This is not what I would use to call them now, but in terms of Brian Kent in Hertfordshire has said Ginger and the Psycho. I'm not sure that's really what I would call them, to be honest. I'm not sure that's the very nice language. Should lose their titles, so she would have nothing to trade on. She is behind all this Netflix garbage. I couldn't possibly watch this rubbish without feeling sick. Brian, I think you speak for a lot of people in terms of feeling a bit sick about it and feeling that they're perhaps exploiting their position. We will talk, of course, a lot more about this. I probably just wouldn't use that language personally in regard to Meghan Markle. I'm someone who thinks a lot and does a little bit of campaigning on mental health stuff and so on. I mean, I think that Meghan Markle is someone who absolutely should be criticised, but I probably just wouldn't use that language. But listen, it's up to you, Brian. We are the home of free speech and we're the home of common sense. So thank you, Brian, for that. In terms of the coal mine as well, a number of people getting in touch on this one. We'll maybe take a call on this a little bit later. John in Wallington says, Peter, I agree with plans for a new coal mine. It's a shame it's not coal for heating homes. Putin has weaponised energy, so why has our government banned fracking? Everything should be on the table because this is war, says John in Wallington. Thank you very much indeed for that, John. John texted us on 87222. You can do the same thing. Be sure to have the word talk in your text and give us a call. 0344 499 1000. We'll take as many calls as we can between now and 6:30 when Kevin O'Sullivan takes over for breakfast. But first of all, let's talk to Dr. Roger Gowalb, who is CEO of Fair Money, personal finance and a credit expert. And strikes, certainly, Roger, you're very welcome to early breakfast this morning. Strikes are something which are getting a lot of people annoyed. And actually, there's something, I was looking at the calendar of all the different strikes, Roger, and it was something like only 7 days, and not even working days, 7 days this month when there isn't a strike on.
Well, Mike Lynch, you're quite right. Good morning, Peter. Mike Lynch, the head of the rail unions.
Mick Lynch, yeah.
Mick Lynch, sorry, I understand, has just reminded all of his members that there are only 16 striking days left till Christmas.
Crazy. I mean, in terms of people's personal finances, Roger, I mean, they're under such pressure because of Christmas is coming up. And essentially, with train travel, for example, of course, you've got to remember that about 4 and 5 journeys in this country are done by car. But if you're travelling by train, if there are rises for the workers, well, then train fares are going to go up, and that's just going to hit the consumer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've often been able to sympathize with and understand some of the workers' grievances. And of course, one can understand management's plans to modernize. But what really strikes me is that in an environment where real wages, that means all of, our paychecks in terms of real economic terms are actually down by as much as 4% historically, why an offer of 8% increase should be rejected so violently. It just doesn't really make sense. But all of this has gathered pace. Maybe I'm a break into song. I'm dreaming of a tight Christmas.
A tight Christmas, yeah.
It's awful. We can write off December. But what I really find jaw-dropping, Peter, are the stories now circulating that OPEC, having cut oil production by 2 million barrels, petrol prices are going to go up again. Now, Hunt said this in his budget, but he didn't say when it's going to happen.
Oh, I think we lost Roger. I'm not sure.
Don't like making banks pay more every time the rates go up. But what they should really do is reduce their take of tax and VAT on petrol, which can be as high as 80% of a liter. And especially, I hope that somebody in the government has the sense to do that now if petrol prices go up because of OPEC, so that the net cost of a liter to us doesn't go up. That's insane to do in this environment of a cost of living crisis.
I know what you mean, and we're not just facing pressure on that front, because the Bank of England keep raising interest rates. 8 rises in the last 12 months or so. What do you make of where we are in regard to that, in regard to personal finance, Roger?
Well, Jamie Dimon, the head of the giant international banking empire, JP Morgan Chase, just said yesterday that he was very critical of the U.S. Federal Reserve, saying that it's going to raise their rates even more to curb inflation because it's not working there. And I've been saying, as people who watch this channel know for many, many months, that the Bank of England is absolutely wrong to make those 8 rises, because we have what's called cost push inflation. We have inflation caused by increases in the price of materials and services, not consumer spending. But Diamond put his finger on the difference. I've always said there's a difference. He's put his finger on the difference, which is that there's $1.5 trillion of what he calls savings overhang in the States, of money that's been pent up during the pandemic, Peter, which people are now spending crazily at the moment. And he's trying to curb that inflation. We don't have that. We aren't spending wildly. People are cutting back. So it's even more dangerous for Andrew Bailey and his colleagues at the Bank of England keep raising interest rates. It's just crazy to do this, crippling British businesses and the British public.
Roger, thank you so much for your insight there. That's Dr. Roger Gowolb, who is CEO of Fair Money. He's a personal finance and credit expert. Thank you to him for his expertise. Thanks to everybody who's been in touch this morning as well.